Hey y'all, Default Professor back again with another episode of How Inclusive and Critical Are Our Games Really? Be sure to like and subscribe, and please go support some black creators too. I played a lot of games as a kid, but then there was this break where the only game I played between 2009 and 2019 was GTA 5.
10 years, man! 10 years!
A lot happened during that period of time. Namely, another civil rights movement began, and that movement is now a major part of public discourse. There are a few games that deal with these issues which I covered in my last video, and one of them was Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus. I got curious and I wanted to play it again. To date, Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus deals most directly with the issue of racism, but it also muddles quite a bit and actually delivers a common, problematic narrative. There's a scene pretty early in the game when we first meet Sister Grace. She talks about what it was like right after the Nazis dropped the bomb on New York.
Monsters did this.
Not monsters. Men.
So there's the crux of the game. To borrow a band name, this game is of monsters and men. But its treatment of the monsters and of the men is problematic.
And here we go.
This game is clearly pulling from reality in its treatment of black characters. The Black Liberation Front is modeled after the Black Panther Party, which is officially formed in 1966. Grace's description of the bombing of New York by the Nazis sounds a lot like witness testimony from the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing of 1963, in which 4 young black girls were killed by the Klan, something Grace brings up as they leave New York. The Klan did take over much of the South, as well as the North, in the period of history known as the Nadir, which happened right at the turn of the 20th century and after the failure of Reconstruction. As Grace tells William, it doesn't exactly matter that he plans to walk into the South and be done with the Nazis because the Southern governments have been taken over by the Klan.
You know who's running the South after the Nazis took over? The Ku Klux motherfucking Klan, am I right?
That's it.
So what you gonna do? You gonna go down there and hold hands with them and build bridges and persuade them to join our cause? Get your head out your ass, Blazkowicz.
Forget it.
Rather than recognize the meaning of this to a black woman, William pushes forward and says we just need more freedom, and Americans love freedom. But that's the problem. In this world, in our world, only some have it. Later in the game, Blazkowicz watches as a Klan member tries to get chummy with a Nazi. In this scenario, there's little difference between this alternate reality and our current reality. The Klan is still not considered a domestic terror organization in our world, and we all saw what happened in Charlottesville. In the alternate reality, they no longer see themselves as the invisible empire, but as being open, with many of them wearing robes in the street. So is this the fabric of America, or are people just trying to survive? This is a fair question, but it merits a distinction. From Sister Grace's experience, one group, the white Americans, was allowed to survive, while others were exterminated with haste.
We've been fighting every motherfucking day, Blazkowicz. White America, though? They done packed up and given in. See, I guess they don't have the fighting spirit no more.
She recognizes this while William's group struggles with this understanding. The underlying problem is not that Nazis took over the United States, but that they took over so quickly. This wasn't done through power or force, at least not completely, but through acquiescence and unity. For instance, see this interaction between William and his father.
What are you, some sort of super killer terror bomber now? You're on the wrong side, buddy. All them years, I was banging my head into the wall, coming to see that everyone was against me. And when the Nazis took over, things got a lot better. You play by their rules, you can do very well for yourself.
This is interesting because it is well known in our history that the United States was not against Nazis because of their treatment of minoritized populations, but because of their attack on freedom, whatever that meant. But that changes when they come to your doorstep, as seen in Wolfenstein. If they'll let you live your life, even if it's at the expense of others, so be it. This is a dichotomy of understanding that the US knows well. Our government willing to fight for freedom elsewhere while maintaining control over black and brown bodies at home. But ultimately, this game is not about Sister Grace or the Black Liberation Front. It is about William Blazkowicz and his crew in 1961. This game is about the physical fragility of a white man as he attempts to save his world, and all the ways that physical frailty manifests in frailties of different kinds, as well as the ways others help to supplement that frailty. The world he is trying to save, though, is different than the world Grace is trying to save. To William, the Nazis are a blight on humanity that must be extinguished. Of course, Grace doesn't disagree. Nazis are an easy dunk for pretty much anyone writing a story. Unless you are a Nazi, the Third Reich is one of the most reviled historical signposts of the 20th century. Even the game pokes fun at Hitler during his appearance in the game, making him a violent, blundering idiot.
Heil Hitler!
Heil Hitler!
Und besser konnten wir nicht finden. Keiner von denen sieht dem Kerl auch nur ähnlich.
Ja.
And he's on Venus. But underneath the veneer of killing Nazis, there is a subtext of what destroying hate and tyranny looks like to two different groups of people, white Americans and black Americans. As the developer said, the theme of this game is catharsis, which comes with taking out Nazis and saving the world. But that catharsis doesn't happen for the black characters in a meaningful way. I am not saying that black players can't have catharsis by killing Nazis, but the game touches things like systemic inequality and then drops them. You don't, for instance, get to control Grace or any of the other black characters and kill Klan members. The quest for the easy historical win over the Nazis gets in the way of understanding what a win looks like for Black America. As Sister Grace notes, there's more work to be done once the Nazis are gone. But the question remains, will William and the rest of his crew be around for that fight? We know that William thinks he won't make it, even though he does make it out despite dying twice within the game. This is his battle. To restore the freedom and order of the world he once knew, a quest for freedom for himself and his friends. This game is the perfect example of a game designed through the lens of a white hero, when the brunt of the problem faced by that hero is for people of color and other minoritized communities, and one that fails to adequately deal with that subtext in meaningful ways. And the more we say, they were monsters, the more we obscure the fact that no, these are men and women, your neighbors, your family, your friends. And the more we lose sight of that, we lose sight of our ability to actually affect change, whether that's in our own lives or in our video games. But hey, wouldn't it have been fun to play as Sister Grace and wreak havoc on some racists? Let me know in the comments, and until next time.